So this lesson is all about record keeping, and that includes financial records as well as identification records for your animals themselves. We're going to start with financial records. This can get a little bit tedious, but we're going to start out with just some kind of general definitions and then kind of get into the nitty-gritty stuff. Inventory is an itemized list of things that's owned by a business, and typically this includes the beginning value of every item as well as the depreciated value for every item. And depreciation is when an item loses value over time. There's several different factors associated with that, like it could be that it's old, it could be that it's out of date. It could be that there's been technological advancements, so it lost value because technology's out of date, something like that. So non-depreciable inventory, this is stuff that's going to be used up or sold within a year. It's basically exempt from depreciation. So examples of this would be things like feed, supplies, a lot of times medical stuff like medicines and ointment, stuff like that falls into this category. And then depreciable inventory, so these are things that are all subject to depreciation. So these are typically items that have a useful life of more than 1 year, and they'll lose value because of how old they are, wear and tear, becoming out of date due to technological advancements. I mean, put it this way, anyone still working with an iPhone 4 is like completely crazy. We're on the iPhone X now, so we got this. If you're still working with a 4, someone needs to probably get you something different. So examples of this would be things like computers, vehicles, trucks, trailers, tractors, if we're talking about farm stuff, anything like that, anything that has a useful life of more than 1 year. So I want to talk about land for just a hot second, because land is a little bit funky. Land definitely has a useful life of more than 1 year, but is it depreciable? Really, the answer here is no. And the reason why is because we can't make more land, right? Land is not going to become out of date due to technological advancements. We're not going to make new land. It's not happening. What we have is what we have. Kind of end of story. So what ends up happening is as the world's population grows, the land that we do have is more and more in demand. And because there's more people but the same amount of land, your land actually increases in value. So it appreciates as opposed to depreciates. So it is not depreciable inventory, even though it has a useful life of more than 1 year. So an asset. An asset is something tangible of value that a person owns. Simplified, it is something that puts money in your pocket or puts money in the pocket of a business. And there's two types. There's current and there's non-current. You'll come to find out that in finance, there is this theme of 1 year. So current assets. Current assets are items that are quickly converted to cash, or that are cash, or that will be sold within 12 months. Okay. Examples of this is going to be cash, any money in a checking account or savings account, stocks, non-depreciable inventory, anything like that that's considered a current asset. Non-current assets are things like your depreciable property. These are things that have a useful life of more than 1 year. All right, so examples of this, even though land is not depreciable property, it is still a non-current asset. But other things included in this would be machinery, which is a depreciable inventory item, and breeding livestock. So you're going to keep your breeding livestock for more than 1 year. You're going to breed them every year. So they're considered non-current assets, whereas your market livestock are considered current assets because those market animals are going to go ahead and they're going to be sent off to market. They're not going to be used for breeding. Liabilities. These are the opposites of assets. So liabilities are debts or things that take money out of your pocket. And again, we have this theme of current versus non-current. And again, it's going to route around that 1 year kind of benchmark. So current liabilities, these are debts that are due to be paid this year, so in the next 12 months. Examples of this are going to be fertilizer and feed bills, tractor payments that are due this year, building payments that are due this year, and also that chunk of the mortgage that's due this year. The mortgage is just a fancy loan that you get on a house or land. So that's what a mortgage is. It's typically a 15 to 30 year loan on a house, or piece of land. And then non-current liabilities. These are debts that are not due this year or debts that are due after this year. So examples being the mortgage that does not include this year's payment. So this year's payment is the current liability, and then anything due after this year is the non-current liability portion of the mortgage. So the mortgage is one liability, but can be split between current and non-current. So, formulas that we use to calculate financial records and financial information. So total assets is your current assets plus your non-current assets, and your total liabilities is your current liabilities plus your non-current liabilities. Now your net worth, that's really what a bank looks at if you're asking for a loan on something. Your net worth is your total assets, so everything you have that puts money in your pocket, subtract out everything that's going to take money out of your pocket, and that's your net worth. You want that net worth to be a positive number. If it's a negative number, you're probably doing something wrong. I'm actually going to cover the example in the next video. If at any point you have questions about this stuff, please let me know. It can be a little bit tedious. The hardest part is figuring out what's an asset versus what's a liability. And I'm going to walk you through that in this example pretty detailed.